Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan and today we are going to do one more video for Game Week 8, all about wildcards again. I know we've done a couple of videos this week where we've talked about buy, sell, keep, avoid players. We've talked about what the opinions are of the 100 experts. That's kind of been for non-wildcarders. Let's focus a little bit more on you guys who are wildcarding this week. I know a few of you have looked at my wildcard template, some of my drafts so far, but some of you have said either I can't quite afford the same template as you, Dan, it's a little bit too pricey for me, or you've kind of said, I've actually got a little bit more money, I want to spend it, or you've said, you know, I want to get in this player into my personal wildcard, how do I get this player into it? So today we're going to talk about more about strategy, templating, structure, things like that, and how you can make your perfect wildcard rather than just copying someone else's wildcard, how you can fit in various players and what I really like as a structure for a Game Week 8 wildcard. So hopefully this is really going to help you out, guys. If you do enjoy this video, please do leave a like. It really helps out the channel. And of course, subscribe if you're new around here too. That would be really awesome. But without further ado, guys, a quick word from our very special sponsor for today's video. And since we're talking about wildcards and being smart with our money on that, or using our budget effectively, we can kind of apply the same principles to our online shopping. And this is where today's video sponsor Pouch comes in. So Pouch is a free desktop browser extension that automatically finds and applies the best discount codes that you might not know about when you're shopping online. So for example, say I'm shopping online for some gym wear. Okay, I like the look of this Gymshark tracksuit set. Let's go pay. But before we do, Pouch is going to automatically pop up, let me know how many discount codes it has found, and apply the best one to save me the maximum amount of money possible. I just saved £10 without having to do anything at all. Pouch works with over 3,000 UK websites. That's more than any other similar browser extension in the UK. And with Black Friday coming up, there's going to be more discount codes going around that you might not have heard of. So let Pouch do that work for you. It's completely free, so there's literally no reason not to give it a go. It's an essential pick for your browser extension squad. Super easy to install with just a few clicks, and make sure you pin it to your browser as well. The first click is right here, joinpouch.com/i/FPL Mate. The link is also at the top of the description if you want to just click on that instead. Doing so, of course, supports the channel massively, but more importantly, it supports your wallets too, guys. So what are you waiting for? Join Pouch. So with that all said, let's get up a pitch, a blank pitch, and let's start putting some players on it. Now, there are a few essential picks that I think we should include in our wildcard teams before we do anything else. So when you're building your wildcard team from scratch, clear the slate clean. Who are you going to put in first? Now, we won't talk about some of these players too much, but what I want you guys to do before you do anything else is I want you to put Mo Salah in your team. He's absolutely essential. He's in the form of his life, and he's a really good captain pick for pretty much every single game week possible. So definitely you want to have Salah in your team. Don't even think about it. Just put him in your team. Done. Easy. Captain him for this game against Watford as well. Why not? There are a couple of other players that I would consider to be essential for me personally in a wildcard team that I've not really made a wildcard draft without including these players, so they are really high on the list. So I would recommend you do include these players too. And those players are Trent Alexander-Arnold, who I really just think is a fantastic FPL asset in general, playing for one of the best defences in the league, and he's also the most creative player in the league. So well worth the 7.5 million. You're not going to find another player in the game that costs 7.5 million or less who's going to get you more points over the course of the season than Trent Alexander-Arnold. And remember, guys, we are planning for long term with a wild card. You don't get a wild card again for a very, very long time, so we do need those players who are kind of set and forget in a way, and Trent is definitely that. Even though he hasn't got amazing fixtures in the immediate term, they are going to pick up eventually, and he's definitely going to be a player that you just want to keep throughout the whole season. Even in those more difficult games, you are going to get clean sheets, you are going to get assists, occasional goals, free kicks, all that kind of stuff. So really, really important stuff there. We've got Lukaku here, who I think is an essential pick as well, mostly because of this fixture run from game week 9 onwards. So Norwich, Newcastle, Burnley. Wow, what an amazing three fixtures. Sort of three of the worst, if not the three worst defences in the league, you would say so far this season, wouldn't you? So really, really nice. Captain opportunities for Lukaku there as well. We have received the news from Thomas Tuchel today that Lukaku is going to be fit and available for game week 8 as well, so you can play him straight away against Brentford. I know a few of you guys were probably worried about Lukaku, so I would definitely include him in your immediate setup straight away. And then we're going to finish off with one more player who I think maybe some of you guys will agree with me, some of you guys might not, but this is a player who is not left any of my drafts. He's a player I absolutely do recommend, and that is Bryan Mbeumo. And I'm showing you on screen the typical 3-4-3 setup that this team would go with, because I do like that formation the most. I know some of you will prefer different kind of formations. That's absolutely fine, but this is kind of the structure that I personally think is going to work really well. It's going to be flexible. It's going to really benefit you in the long term in terms of allowing you to make different transfers. But anyway, one more player that I want to add on to this before we start saying, adding more template, you know, whatever you want kind of players, is that, yeah, Bryan Mbeumo. 5.5 million. Chelsea fixture is not great, so maybe you do bench him for game week 8. But after that, we've got Leicester at home, we've got Burnley, we've got Norwich, we've got some really nice fixtures after that as well. And Mbeumo is the star attacking asset for Brentford. I know a lot of people say it's Tony. It's not. Tony is actually creating a lot of chances for Mbeumo. Mbeumo's taken on the most shots. He's providing the most XG. He's getting the most big chances, I guess, as well. So he is the key attacker in that Brentford team. And you can get him for just 5.5 million. And he's playing as a striker. So a striker who is just 5.5 million and is listed as a midfielder. There is so much to love. And I know a few of you guys will be tempted to transfer him in later. But the strategy that I'm kind of doing with this particular team and what I'm doing with my team as well is making sure that we're flexible and we can be adaptable to what is happening in the future. And that involves bringing in players now with the hope that they'll do well later, not necessarily this week, and you don't even have to wait that long. I understand if you're bringing in a player now, they don't really have good fixtures for 4 or 5 game weeks. They're probably not worth getting in on a wild card. Just wait and use your transfers. But someone whose fixtures swing in your favour so soon, definitely recommend Mbeumo. So with those 4 players on the pitch, there are a couple more players which are a little bit less flexible, and those are the 2 other defender slots in this 3-4-3 formation. So we're going to fill them up now. The first one I'm going to say is going to be Cancelo there for you. I do think Cancelo is going to be pretty important, but I've not written down Cancelo here because I also understand that a lot of you guys might want to go for Diaz, a little bit more nailed on. We kind of know that Zinchenko might displace Cancelo when he comes back into the team. Cancelo, I do think, is actually going to play most of the games at right back, and Walker will be the player who is displaced. But yeah, I do think you have an option here. But the most important thing is to go for a Man City defender, and I would prioritise one of Cancelo or Diaz. So go for a premium Man City defender there as well. You're going to get loads of clean sheets. Man City have the best defensive record this year so far by a country mile. They are by far the best defence in the league. You're going to guarantee yourself loads of clean sheets, particularly over the next 3 fixtures. And particularly with Cancelo, you're going to get some attacking returns there as well. So nailed on, set and forget. Put them in your team and just don't look back. And then we're going to finish off the defence with a Chelsea defender. Now, there are a few options in our Chelsea defence who I do kind of want to run through. Now, first of all, I should say Rudiger has been confirmed to be out this game week. So if you are on a wildcard right now, we don't know the full extent of the injury. We know it's a back injury. We don't know how long he's going to be out for. But if you're on a wildcard, there's no point in going for Rudiger because you're going to leave yourself as a little bit of a disadvantage for the immediate term, aren't you? So the players that I would be looking at is Chilwell, James and Azpilicueta. Those 3 Chelsea defenders. Those would be the top 3. Azpilicueta obviously offering you a lot of guaranteed starts, you would say, but if Azpilicueta is going to be playing a sort of a right centre-back role, we kind of don't expect him to play too many games at wing-back now that Reece James is back, and we've got Callum Hudson-Odoi to fill in at right wing-back as well, potentially. Azpilicueta is basically just going to be a very expensive centre-back. Not really going to get you too many attacking returns, really, so might be a little bit pricey for you, but it does give you that not guarantee, but a much better chances of regular starts, not many rotations, things like that. And then if you're feeling a little bit spicy, you can go for Chilwell or James, and I'm kind of leaning towards Chilwell right now. I think he has kind of solidified his place a lot more on that left wing-back position, and the great thing with Chilwell is that he doesn't come off the bench. If he is benched, and he will be benched sometimes, Marcus Alonso will start ahead of Chilwell some games. Chilwell, if he's on the bench, he stays on the bench. So he's not going to come on for those 1-pointers. And what you can do is, particularly if you're on a wild card, you can make a fairly decent bench who can come on and replace Chilwell in those games that he doesn't play. The games that Chilwell does play, he's going to be on set pieces, or some set pieces at least. He's going to be, playing in a very advanced position, taking shots, making good crosses into players like Lukaku, and he's going to get you some really high ceiling returns potentially if you can handle the fact that he might not play every single game. So let's move on anyway into the midfield. Obviously, we've got a couple of players in there anyway, but we've got a couple of gaps in the middle there. So let's fill them up. So I would say the first player you want to look at is potentially a mid-priced midfielder. And when I say mid-price, we're kind of talking mid to low-end premium. So the kind of players we're looking at here are probably going to be Son, and then if you don't fancy Son in the immediate term, maybe you can go for Foden, Grealish, punt on Mahrez perhaps. You could go for Mahrez. Maybe he looks really good for this Burnley fixture. So yeah, this is where you want to take a slightly more expensive midfielder. Not as expensive as Salah, but not as cheap as Mbeumo. So somewhere in the middle there. And there are some nice options. And I think going for Son now is a good idea. He's got some good fixtures in the immediate term, but some very good fixtures over the next kind of 8 game weeks. Spurs have some amazing fixtures. So if you can look past Spurs' bad form, and I think you should do that and just focus on the player Son and how effective he's been for Spurs so far and how many returns he's got already, and you know, the fact that he consistently plays well when he does play. You know, outperforms all of his expected stats and stuff like that. He's super clinical, gets goals and gets so many points, and occasionally comes out with these banger 20 pointers out of nowhere, which is always really, really nice. You could really go for Son now, and it would be amazing. If you want to go for a risky punt on a Man City midfielder, completely understand that. But also, it's probably worth mentioning that Jota could potentially go in here as well, particularly if we get some early team news from Liverpool on Saturday morning, and we find out that Jota is going to start against Watford. I think you've got to have a little bit of temptation to put him in there as a kind of a bit of a punt there as well. And for our second midfielder, we're going to go for a slightly cheaper midfielder. So someone in between our previous midfielder and Mbeumo. Someone, you know, because again, we're playing price points here. We're being flexible. We're getting kind of players from all different kinds of walks of price, I suppose. I know that's a bit of a pun there. But we're looking for players from all kinds of walks of price. And here you want to go for either Rafinha if you think you can cover him for one game week, because we really don't think Rafinha is going to play in Game Week 8, but there's a possibility that he plays in Game Week 8. But he's really good for slightly longer term. A good option that you kind of probably do want to have in your team at some point or another. If you're on a wild card, why not just get him in now and you know, cover him with your bench on the short term? But you could also go for maybe a Bukayo Saka here. Maybe you could go for Bernardo Silva here as well. They could work very well. And then up front, we've got 2 slots to fill. And I think our first slot, we go for a mid-price forward. So that's a Mikel Antonio, that's a Raul Jimenez. I think I would even consider Callum Wilson or Ollie Watkins here, someone like that. And then we're going to finish off with a budget forward as well. Hwang Hee-chan, Adam Armstrong, Ivan Toney. You know, if you want to double up on the Brentford, I perhaps would not necessarily want to double up on the Brentford immediately, but I do think Toney is a nice asset to have. No, he's not going to be scoring as many goals from open play as Mbeumo, or probably won't, but he has got those penalties as well, which is a really nice thing to have, and he will get assists as well. He's been really creative this season, to be fair. So Toney looks really good. Armstrong looks really good for fixtures, and Hwang looks really a really exciting player who is in a good run of form as well. Scored a couple of goals already, hasn't he? So yeah, really nice to go for one of those budget forwards and occupy that slot there as well. Really flexible. All players from all kinds of walks of price. Let's bring up the bench, guys, and yeah, there's a little bit of flexibility here, I think, but actually perhaps not as much flexibility on the bench as you perhaps think. So we've got a base goalkeeper at 4 million. Realistically, we're all going to go for Ben Foster, really, aren't we? Because at least he is, you know, got a good chance of starting quite a few games. So I do think Ben Foster is the one to just go for as your 4 million goalkeeper. Again, I don't like rotating goalkeepers or anything like that. We've got a budget defender, 4.2 million to 4.4 million. You could probably go for a Livramento or Duffy, maybe Ben White here. And the second one, you would probably, again, you go for Duffy or Livramento. Maybe if you really are strapped for cash, you could go for a Mankiel or Brandon Williams. But Duffy and Livramento, I would say, provide those slots pretty much really well. And then finally, we want to go for a base midfielder. Maybe you want to go for a 4.5 million midfielder there. Norman looks pretty good, but I think the best thing to do is, since you're never really going to ever have to use this player, or very, very rarely, you may as well just go for a 4.4 million Josh Brownhill and call it a day there, really, because Josh Brownhill's still going to get you 2 points every game, and he's the cheapest possible midfielder you can get. And since you're never going to use it, you may as well save the 0.1 million and yeah, that'll work pretty well. Well, we haven't done a goalkeeper here yet, and I kind of wanted to talk about this a little bit. So for your goalkeeper, you do have a few options. And I know I've been saying Ramsdale so much, but I think the key here, really, I don't think you have to go for Ramsdale, because I've not really spoken about too many other goalkeepers. I don't think you have to go for Ramsdale, but I would keep a player in mind in the 4.5 million price bracket. I really can't see much value in any more of the more expensive goalkeepers, and I hope you guys will agree with me, but I just don't see any much value in those players. So yes, we could go for Ramsdale, but he's not the only option. Sanchez is still a really good option for you to go for, but also Raya at Brentford as well. I mean, we could end up with a triple up on Brentford here, but you know, like I said, Brentford have some really good fixtures. They've been playing really quite well defensively, really. Surprised a lot of us with how defensively rigid. They've kind of changed a lot since their championship team, and they have adopted a 5 at the back formation. They are keeping clean sheets. The defenders look really good, really solid, much better than perhaps we thought they were going to be in the Premier League, and they've stepped up, and there's going to be clean sheets. We've already seen clean sheets for Brentford. They're not conceding too many chances in a lot of games. I know perhaps with the exception of that Liverpool game, but that is Liverpool. So yeah, you've got that option there as well. And this structure is basically a full team here. We're stick a vice captain on Lukaku as well, just for fun. But there are, you maybe go for, if you've got Cancelo, you can maybe vice captain him or someone like that. Perhaps with your vice captain, you go for someone a little bit safer who you're pretty certain is going to start at least as a backup for Salah. But Salah is the captain for sure, isn't he? And that's pretty much how I would structure any wildcard team that I would make. I've been tinkering a lot over the last couple of weeks. Every single team has fallen in this exact layout, really, and this is just my preferred layout personally. I think a lot of you guys are going to be able to make exactly what you want, have all of the players that you want, whilst also following this layout. So hopefully this helps out, guys. Hopefully you can make something that you like within this. Instead of you copying someone else's team directly or wondering how to combine someone else's team with some things that you like, this structure should work for you. I'm really hoping. So do let me know what you think to this structure. Hopefully it's going to work out perfectly for you. If not, let me know what's wrong with it. And obviously I'm always really interested to hear your thoughts as well. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. If you did enjoy it, please do leave a like. Please do subscribe if you're new around here as well. We are going to stream tomorrow morning. Going to make final changes to my wildcard, this, that, and the other, I expect. So, yeah, look forward to that. But that's pretty much it for me this week, aside from the deadline stream and any content over on Twitter. That there will be a little bit of content on Twitter as well if you want to follow me there at FPL Mate. But, yeah, if I don't see you before the deadline, good luck this game week. I'm sure you guys are going to smash it. Wildcarders particularly. The wildcard gang, you guys are with me. We're gonna go through some real turmoil over the next few hours, I imagine, over the next 24 hours. But yeah, it's all exciting. It's all of what FPL is all about, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye bye.